gone! Ollie's gone. The coup has been successful. Consider Dugmore deposed. The reign of Campbell and Santina begins.
Okay, can they edit it in like we're now lifting up his head?
Yeah. Dripping blood. Love podcast, hate nonsense.
Right.
I feel like we have to get that in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
One and done from Ollie.
Yeah.
Not fast.
That's it. Over it.
He said, we'll leave the most boring PMQs of all time to you two.
Yeah.
This is beneath me.
That's actually what he said when he walked out the office.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
He's normally more polite than that.
Yeah. He said, you two make me sick.
Yeah, it's quite rude.
It was quite rude, wasn't
We should
it?
probably raise that with HR. There was quite a funny post in the subreddit at some point about Ed's face as his manager makes fun of him in front of thousands of people.
Someone, someone drew us.
Mm-hmm.
Someone replied to it saying that they'd made me look more attractive than I am.
That wasn't a terribly flattering drawing.
That's what I thought.
I liked that one. I thought it made us look like the front cover of the Lemony Snicket books.
Yeah, or the Powerpuff Girls.
Or the Powerpuff... That is good, actually.
Yeah.
It did look like that. Should we start with some PMQs?
Yeah, well, you've got to go places, haven't you?
Places to be, people to see.
I've already delayed you by a good hour.
Yep. Anyway, here, let's see Starmer and Sunak agreeing with each other.
Now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Rishi Sunak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join with the Prime Minister in expressing my shock at the attack on a British soldier? Our thoughts are with him and his family as we wish him a speedy recovery. And I also join with the Prime Minister in his warm words about our Olympic athletes. I've no doubt that after years of training, focus and dedication, they'll bring back many gold medals. Although, to be honest, I'm probably not the first person they want to hear advice from on how to win. But I'm glad in our exchanges. I'm glad, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad in our exchanges so far we have maintained a cross-party consensus on important matters of foreign policy. And in that spirit today, I wanted to focus our exchange on Ukraine and national security. The UK has consistently been the first country to provide new capabilities to Ukraine, such as the long-range weapons that have been used so effectively in the Black Sea. Now, those decisions aren't easy, and I was grateful to the Prime Minister for his support as I made those decisions in government. And in opposition, I offer that same support to him. So can I ask that he continues to be responsive to Ukraine's new requests so that they don't just stand still, but can decisively win out against Russian aggression?
Can I thank the Leader of the Opposition for not only raising the question of Ukraine, but doing it in a way which can maintain the unity across this House, which has been so important to the Ukrainian people. And I can assure him that we are, of course, talking to Ukraine about how they deal with the Russian aggression that they have been facing for many, many months. And I will continue to try to do that in the way that he did, which is to reach out across the House to share such information as we can to maintain the unity that is so important. That
was Starmer and Sunak agreeing with each other. And he did begin with a joke, Rishi Sunak.
He did.
A self-deprecating little laugh.
He's been actually amusing.
He's relaxed. He's chilled out.
Yeah.
Since the election.
Yeah.
It is funny that when
you're not Prime Minister, it's easier.
No. So like the case of like Ed Miliband as leader of the Labour Party is actually quite a different politician to how he behaves now as almost like a senior statesman of the Labour Party. And I think it's a lot more genuine and likeable. And I think Rishi Sunak seems a lot more, maybe just more relaxed and maybe just doesn't care.
He likes his energy brief, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. But Sunak just seems quite well suited as a leader of the opposition with absolutely no responsibility.
He does look a lot more relaxed. He's actually got he's got like a hotter energy about him now.
As in like sexier?
Yeah, but I don't mean like in like looks wise. I mean like he just looks very at ease. His movements are relaxed.
I suppose there's no stakes for him now.
He doesn't have that Maybot
No.
That he used to have.
No, because I suppose he was living in an existential crisis of like, is your worst nightmare? Like, you are the Prime Minister and you are going to get your arse kicked. And now the worst thing has happened. Historically bad result.
Yeah.
Nothing bad can happen anymore.
No, nothing bad can happen. He's gone. He's done.
He's done. He's just got to wait till the 2nd of November for a new...
Do you think that he'll carry on? Or do you think they'll have an interim leader?
What's the point of an interim leader? I think that'd be just more faff. Unless Sunak says, I can't be arsed with this.
But will he still sit as an MP?
That's what I'm interested in.
Like after November, will he be like, right, well, let me just skedaddle?
I can be the MP for Silicon Valley.
Maybe he wants to be the ambassador.
I don't think he'd get the ambassadorship.
Do you not think?
No, it's not. He's not like a.
What if he did a deal with like Cleverly, and said, I will do everything in my power to make you the leader. Oh, sorry.
It's not up to Cleverly.
I just totally forgotten that it's not up to them at all.
James Cleverly, like, sells him a real bridge selling energy. Being like, you back me, you will be the ambassador to the United States. Absolutely, James.
It could be like you're the shadow ambassador.
He goes and mimics. I suppose with like the amount of time that Liz Truss spends in the US at the moment, you can just go.
Well, she likes spending time in the US because she can go out and no one recognises her.
Yes, that's true, I
That
suppose.
was a bit of a dig, that wasn't it? It was good, that.
That was good. Liz Truss, owned.
Yeah.
I think
she's so over.
She's done.
She's so... Well, Liz Truss isn't even an MP.
Oh, fuck, of course she isn't.
Yeah.
We're not doing well at this.
So she can spend a lot of time in America.
Yeah, no, she's a private citizen. She's completely at ease to do that.
Isn't it something like her Twitter bio, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, is like the second thing? I think the first thing is like Sunday Times bestseller. And the second thing is...
40 more proud of.
Oh, good, they're back.
Oh, the builders are back.
What if they're not building, and what if that's actually just knocks from that little submarine that went under... What was it called? What was the submarine called?
The one that imploded?
Yeah.
What if it was knocks from the submersible that imploded?
Yeah. What if that's a cargo ship that's gone down and that's actually just someone doing Morse code to let everyone know that they're still alive? Someone's in an air pocket.
We're not...
like that chef. Did you ever see that chef who got stuck in an air pocket? And he lived. The ship went down and it turned over. And he was like in this room in like a bit of air pocket.
Wow.
Underwater. Like at the bottom on the seabed. And they came down and found him. He didn't have any clothes on. And the thing I found mad about that was at what point in the like, oh God, I'm going to drown. I'm going to die down here. They're going to find me.
I'm getting really hot.
Get off. And I wouldn't want them to find me clothes.
Maybe he was wearing like women's underwear. He was like, well, that's...
1 second.
I need to take that off.
I'm just recording a podcast. Can I possibly phone you back in about 20 minutes? Okay. Oh, I'll phone you right back. Thank you. Bye.
What if he was wearing women's underwear and that's why he took it off? What if that?
Or what if you put that on?
What would you want to wear if you were to be found trapped in a ocean liner at the bottom of the sea?
You wouldn't find me trapped in an ocean liner at the bottom of the sea.
Why?
Because...
You're not getting on a cruise ship?
No.
Why?
I'm terrified of cargo ships.
But cruise ships as well.
I don't think no, but I wouldn't go on a cruise.
Interesting.
I would like to go on an oil rig though.
Not a boat, famously.
No. Bolted, they are.
That's the kind of insight people come to PoliticsJOE for about Prime Minister's questions.
A good friend of mine texted me the other day and said that our Monday episode was really funny. And I was like, was it? So I listened back to it. I was like, this is not funny at all. What is she... She's lying. Oh yeah, we should talk about this.
So what do you think... So Sunak was remarkably non-confrontational at Prime Minister's questions.
I felt they had a conversation that they should have had. Do you know when we do planning meetings on this podcast? I felt like they were having a planning meeting during PMQs because Sunak was like, look, you're going to have to use a statutory instrument every now and again, like, you know, when there's an emergency in Ukraine or, you know, Israel, Gaza, whatever. But could you let me know, like the way I let you know? And then Keir got up and was like, thank you for letting me know when you did let me know. I will also let you know when the time I feel is right to let you know. And that was basically 3 questions.
Yeah, it was. It was a strange energy. It's also just like Sunak is just the lame duck leader. So there's nothing. There's no point having a really argy-bargy thing, and really setting your argument across if the new leader of the Conservatives is just going to jettison it.
Well, he can't. What's he supposed to do? He can't get up there like. He can't get up there and do like the whole Cameron when Cameron was in opposition and be like, "Ha, you suck," because there's not enough people behind him to cheer.
No, also Sunak sucks more.
Like
that's like he's a loser.
Yeah,
and he's taking it like a champ. To be fair,
he is taking it like a champ.
I'm not sure I would have that within me.
Yeah, he's being quite an alpha beta.
He's being an alpha beta cuck.
Yeah,
I think that's.
You've been advising him.
Hey, buddy, listen to the expert. You know you're the biggest loser in the world? Well, I've got tons of experience with that.
Should we do another one?
Yes.
We come to the leader of the Lib Dems, Sir Ed Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I welcome the Prime Minister to his place at his first Prime Minister's questions? And can I associate myself and my party with the comments he made about the appalling attack on the soldier in Kent? And our thoughts are with his family and friends and comrades. And can I also associate our side with his comments on Team GP and particularly talk about how we want them to succeed in Paris? The Prime Minister has many messes that he's inherited. One of them is the scandal over the carers' allowance repayments. An example is my constituent, Andrea, who is a full-time carer for her elderly mum. She went back to work part-time, mainly for her mental health, she tells me. She was earning less than £7,000 a year and has been hit by a bill from the DWP for £4,600. But Andrea is just one of tens of thousands of carers facing these repayments, punished for working and earning just a few more pounds than the earnings limit. So will the Prime Minister agree to meet with me and other family carers to try to resolve this matter?
Yeah.
So Ed Davey, talking about the experience of carers, of course, Ed Davey is a carer himself and has been for most of his life, I think. I think cared for his mum and now cares for his son, who's cerebral palsy. What's interesting about carers is people don't talk about social care terribly often, and carers, because I think unless you know or you are a carer yourself, you don't really ever think about it. You don't know about the experience of if someone requires 24/7 care, how much your life is just care.
Well, yeah, 24/7, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. I was actually in Birmingham yesterday, meeting families who have family members with quite severe disabilities or learning difficulties, physical difficulties, and speaking about the cuts after this council went bankrupt. They're having to make quite extremely drastic cuts, and it seems like vulnerable people will be at the sharp end of it. And they were saying there's kind of this silent army, like family carers are the silent army of this country. They are like cheap. They are the care sector is under a lot of stress anyway, and without the people giving up their entire time to care for their loved ones, it'd be under even more stress. And the pressure that some of them are under, like one woman I spoke to, she's 65, her brother is 62. He goes to a day centre for 5 hours a day, and that's all the respite she gets.
Gosh.
And he requires 24-hour care.
Does she do all the caring when he's not at the...
She doesn't. They don't have a carer.
Well, there's been cuts to things like transport. That's a big issue, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And like the sort of the fitted out cars and things like that. Loads of cuts on that.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a real lack of.
Oh, and the demonisation of care workers as well. Let's not forget that.
Yes, of course.
Low skilled work, isn't it? Obviously.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting that Ed Davey. I think there will be more discussion of carers and care work, but I think that's only because Ed Davey is in the position that he's now in.
Yeah.
And he's a carer himself, so it's not like there's been a realignment of priorities of the country or policy. I think Ed Davey is in a position to represent carers and speak up on their behalf. And I kind of think it shouldn't just be on someone it shouldn't just be incumbent on someone in a position of influence to do that. That shouldn't be the only reason things get done. There should be there should be a greater focus on carers, whether or not Ed Davey was in post,
Right.
is what I mean.
Yeah, it's not. The Labour Party aren't looking like the sort of compassionate party at the moment, are
No.
they? Because we'll come on to it, but they have vetoed lifting the 2-child benefit cap, and then they were asked questions today by Ed Davey, like, hey, have you thought about not slapping huge fines or charges or on people who are disabled? And he's like, well, it's tricky. Not a lot of money in the coffers.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because they're bound in by these self-imposed fiscal rules, it must be said, and
Fiscal choices. I think
choices. Is that the language that we're using?
That's what I'm going for. Yeah, fiscal choices.
And so from their perspective, they want to be seen as fiscally responsible. But I kind of think it was the same when the polling was so far ahead. They're not willing to gamble with their, they won a huge majority. There's not going to be an election for another 5 years, presumably. They're not willing to gamble or take risks necessarily on this issue. They're not willing to do something potentially unpopular, because I think there is if they were to abolish this, I think there would be a lot of, in the right wing press, Labour enable benefit scroungers, or mum has 8 children.
Yeah, we've just come off the back of that, the big squeeze on DWP payments, haven't we, with the Tories? So
you'd get back to that kind of language around the Labour government, which I think they're trying to avoid, and trying to be seen as utterly fiscally responsible. But there's no moral justification for this. It's
not scrounging to take the money that you're entitled to.
Yeah, of course
from
not.
the state.
Yeah. It's not, and also as well, it's there are children living in poverty as a result of this.
Let's just talk about the 2-child benefit cap lift. I was speaking to a number of people. I don't know if lifting the 2-child benefit cap is the most important thing they could do. I think it's something that when we talk about the metrics of you can lift 10,000 children out of poverty, in Zara Sultana's constituency alone. You could also, there's a number of other measures that I think could be more effective, like free school meals. I think if you, and those were extended during the school holiday, if you could guarantee Labour's breakfast programme and there were free school meals, that would actually give children a better start.
I wonder if it's just,
or
this is quick and easy. And it's also a clean break with the Conservative government.
Or reinstating the £20 universal credit per week that was given to people during COVID and then was cut.
Yeah,
that would be another good way to do it. The arguments that I've heard against it from the more conservative side, I hate. Things like, it makes parents think twice before they have a third child. If you can't afford to have the child, don't have it. And it's like, well,
there's no evidence that it's a deterrent.
No, yeah.
People are just going to have another child and be poorer.
And also, the onus then is on the child for existing. No, you're
absolutely right.
I don't really think that you should punish little Betty for being the third child.
What year is it?
You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The third child, well, sorry, your parents should have thought more carefully before they had you, I think is sort of mental take.
Yeah, no, it is, absolutely. What do you think of the suspension of the Magnificent Seven, as I saw someone call them?
Well, it's very, very convenient, isn't it, for the Labour front bench?
It is.
Because they do not like the Socialist campaign group.
Yep.
Of which they are all a part.
Yes. The 7 Labour MPs who've had the whip suspended for 6 months are John McDonnell, Zara Sultana, Ian Byrne, Richard Bergen, Rebecca Long-Bailey, Imran Hussain and Abzana Begum, who I think the front bench would see as annoying.
Yeah, I can imagine they would. I thought, the thing that there's 2 schools of thought of why it's bad or good to rebel. The argument that's made is a procedural argument. They say, well, it's an opposition amendment. It's you don't vote on opposition's amendments to the King's speech. It's not protocol. This hasn't happened since, I think it was like 1946 or something.
Yeah, it was about conscription, the last one.
Yeah.
In Attlee's government.
And you go, well, that's not the way to raise your issue. And it's like, okay, you said this about the Gaza vote as well, because it was an opposition day motion. That was why they had to be suspended. The public don't care.
Yeah.
The public do not care who laid it. If anything, it actually almost looks worse, because you go, wait, hang on a minute. The SNP had to lay that. But like, when you actually take yourself out of it, you think working cross-party or collaboratively is quite healthy for democracy. Mm-hmm. So Labour put down this King's speech. They put down all the bills that they would like to achieve in this parliament. And then another party goes, hey, the kids in my constituency are really poor. Do you think we can add something in there about that? Here's like a little draft or whatever. And instead of being like, what a good idea, they act like petulant children. This is any government of the day. This is not specific to Starmer. And they go, nope, I'm not having your ideas in here. It's basically like the bossy schoolgirl in the school project who's like, I don't want your ideas.
Yeah, I suppose from a Labour perspective, God, it's just so like gamey, which is tactical, isn't it? In like, from a Labour perspective, you're trying to prove in Scotland that the SNP are unfit to govern. So why would you take on their ideas at a UK level?
But no one cares about the politics of all that. All that it will be remembered in the same way that the Gaza vote was remembered. No one cares that it was an SNP opposition day motion. They're just like, you voted against a ceasefire. Don't care why you did it. It's sort of like Rory Stewart when he defends his record in government, or he's got all these ideas and he says, well, you have to vote with the government. It's like, you don't.
Yeah, you can make a decision.
Yeah, you can act on principle and you can push back against it. You don't have to vote for it. The nuts thing about the 2-child benefit cap is that, like, no, you would not have been able to find a Labour MP a couple of years ago who wouldn't have said to you that it would be like the first thing they would do would be to lift it.
Is there an argument? Because I think when the senior Labour politicians have been asked about this, they seem to have been signalling something will happen soon with this. They haven't explicitly said we're going to do it at this timeline, but like they've kind of been hinting. Should this 7 rebels have just eaten it?
I think they're acting on principle, though.
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult for you to go back to your constituents. How do you explain that to them, why you didn't vote for the 2-child benefit cap to be lifted? Like, it's a dirty tactic, you could argue, from the SNP.
I think it's also it's politicking from the SNP, and that needs to be acknowledged as well. It's like the SNP have put Labour in a bind.
Yeah, of course.
Which is exactly what they were trying to do.
Because what they want to do is they want to say Labour voted against this.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and sadly, the casualty of that are these MPs.
Yeah, but then I wonder if you go back, so the vast majority of Labour MPs were happy to do that, and they felt able to go back to the constituency and say, we'd love to do that, but we can't afford it at the moment. Here's all the other measures that we're trying to do to alleviate child poverty. That's what they probably made.
It's not that, yeah, and I guess the problem is, though, is like a lot of my friends are teachers and they talk about school holidays because they've all just broken up for some holidays last week. And not to like whinge or like sound like I'm like on a like violin or whatever, but they do honestly talk about like kids in their class are actually worried about them not going to be like not being able to eat during the summer. Yeah. And like trying to get them in, like they've done a lot of referrals of families to food banks. You know, they act like social workers, teachers now. That's really frightening. And this is in places like, you know, well, actually it's in one is up north, but a lot of these places are in quite wealthy areas of London. And you think, if that's happening here, what's happening in the rest of the country? Yeah. So I'm not saying that like London is, you know. No, but sorry, I'm talking about like Wimbledon. It's happening in, and I think definitely. You know, Wimbledon is a very wealthy area. If you go to a poor area, there's going to be a larger proportion of kids who there's going to be concerns about. Yeah, definitely. Another clip. Sure.
I've returned him for that constituency.
Rupert Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituents in Great Yarmouth have little doubt that uncontrolled legal and illegal immigration since 1997 has damaged and disrupted their community and undermined their public services. Does the Prime Minister agree that importing millions of people with no thought whatsoever to the brutal consequences has failed our country? I know the good people of Great Yarmouth would much appreciate a yes or no answer to this straightforward question.
I'm not sure I agree with his numbers, but look, I do think that it's serious that the previous government lost control of our borders. Record numbers have crossed the Channel. Since the Leader of the Opposition, when he was Prime Minister for 18 months, 50,000 people crossed the Channel. It's a serious issue that requires a serious answer. And that is why we will set up our Border Security Command to take down the gangs that are running this vile trade.
So that was Rupert Lowe from Reform. What's he like, Ava?
I actually don't know.
Sorry.
I did see Richard Tice today, though.
Did you?
I had a brief hello, yeah.
How is he?
Well.
Is he enjoying Parliament?
Yeah.
I bet you would.
Yeah.
I bet it's fun.
Yeah, he was doing something on the BBC because he joked. He asked me if I'd defected to the BBC. That's what he was. It was a good joke.
Good joke from your good pal, Richard Tice.
I think that this is an interesting legal and illegal migration since 1997. I think is an interesting year to pick because in 2010, I'd have to check, but I think migration, it was around 100,000. Mm-hmm. And now it's 750,000. So the end of the last Labour government, it was 7 times, well, it was a seventh of what it is now. Mm-hmm. So maybe he should have gone for like, I don't know, what would have been a good year?
He's just being like, since he's being like, Labour. This is Labour, Labour, Labour. I liked when he said, this is a simple issue and a simple yes or no answer will suffice. As if like, well, it's not simple. Like it's incredibly nuanced discussion, and expecting your Prime Minister to not engage with a complicated issue with a complicated and thoughtful answer is a derelict. Like it's cynical, which I'm not surprised that they're being cynical at immigration in the Commons, but
it doesn't even make any sense. It's a simple yes or no answer. It's not.
It's absolutely
He's going to go back to his constituents and say, I asked him, I said it's a simple yes or no answer. And do you know what he said to me? He said nothing. Nothing. He just stood there.
It's serious that the previous government lost control of our borders. So he did acknowledge an issue with uncontrolled immigration. I like the idea of like people in Great Yarmouth, my constituents in Great Yarmouth, just as if they're like a monolith.
Yeah. They're all standing there watching the telly like it's the football. Go on, Rupert.
Do you think the same way people used to talk about the Red Wall?
Yeah.
Do you think people will talk about like the Reform constituencies as like a cohesive like unit? Like how will this play in the Reform areas?
That's a lot of Tories are worried about the leadership contest, and they're talking about they don't want to elect anyone who is too focused on reform and how to quash the threat of reform. They want a more centrist leader. So why Suella Braverman is just not going to get a look in.
She could have done if she'd been more image conscious. If she'd been more...
She's not a good enough public speaker.
No, but also you just don't go and say incredible things like the pride flag has invaded, has taken territory of government buildings, which is a remarkable, stupid thing to say. That people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Do you think she's a cultural Marxist?
Is she no. What is a cultural Marxist?
Well, that's what... Were you at the desk yesterday when Ollie was asking about it? Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Ollie was talking about it at the desk, and he was like, what do you actually think that means? And then I think Laura gave quite... I'm going to butcher what she said.
I'd like to hear it.
Sort of like de facto woke.
Yeah, I think I buy that. So no, I don't think Suella Braverman is a cultural Marxist.
But then is there not another side to it where you're like, why are you picking up on all of these things? Aren't you being a bit of a Marxist about the culture? What do you want instead? You want it all grey and concrete, do you?
Yeah, I think it's just fear mongering, isn't it? Like we're being over. If you say to someone, we're being like overtaken. The gays are taking over, the gays and the trans. You can't move for them. And then someone's like, where?
Yeah.
I can't see, like, no, they're not. I think there might be a gay bar in my town, and that might be it. And I have a gay nephew, and I like him.
Yeah.
I think that you're losing a lot of people.
If you have a gay nephew and you don't like him, do you think that influences policy?
Probably.
Probably does, doesn't it?
If he's a dick.
Yeah.
Like, you find that he's gay.
I know what they're like.
It's fine that he's gay. You don't object to that.
Yeah.
But you just object to him.
Yeah.
We've all met mean gay people. I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Who's the meanest gay?
I don't want to dox them.
No?
No.
Let's beep it out. Let's get rid of that.
I've just revealed to the meanest gay I know is.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't clip that, anybody. That's a fun. We on anything else?
No. How long have we been going for?
Half an hour?
28 minutes.
That'll do.
That'll do. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Remember to subscribe to the PoliticsJOE YouTube channel. Leave us a review on wherever you listen to this. Comment, come to the subreddit r/PoliticsJOE. We think Ollie will be back for the next one, but truthfully, we don't know.
We don't know. I won't be here.
Will you not?
No.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. If anyone else would like to...
Step in.
Yeah.
Do you think they'd like that?
Oh, the person who emailed us about the train stamps.
Oh, that was a nice email,
I
wasn't
thought
it?
that was really cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see those train stamps.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was her name?
Gabrielle?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Was it?
I think so.
Should I have a look?
Yes, I hope we're not doxing Gabrielle.
I'm sure she'll be okay that we've revealed her first name and that she has some train stamps.
And her email address.
Yeah, I think that she'll be okay with that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Where is it?
Subject line is transport non-smell.
And what was her name?
Gabrielle.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's really cool.
Yeah. Rated that.
Yeah, that was sick. Yeah, thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you, everyone else, for watching and listening. And we hope you have a restful Wednesday evening.
Bye.
Bye.